I'm Peter Norman. I'm the Project Officer for South West Scotland Environmental Information Centre. The purpose of the project is twofold really. Firstly, whatever videos we get from the cameras, we show them to the people who helped us set them up, so that they get to see which animals are visiting their sites. And it may be that there's animals that we capture on video that they've never actually seen by the light of the day in their own gardens. But from the South West Scotland Environmental Information point of view, what we're interested in is the records of the mammals. The centre collects and collates and makes available wildlife records across the whole of Dumfries and Galloway and in Ayrshire, and we have about 2.5 million records in total. But the crucial thing is we make those records available for people who are carrying out work, who are doing research, who are doing education projects or community projects. Any of those people can use the information, and the more information we've got, the more valuable it is to inform those people of the wildlife that lives in the area. We had the cameras out in a range of different places within the Galloway Glens Landscape Partnership area. Quite a range of different sites. We had it out on 2 different farms. We also had it out in 2 different community woodland areas. But most of the sites were just people's gardens. And the gardens were quite variable as well. We had some big sites with mature trees and ponds, to some just small, ordinary, urban, domestic gardens with flower beds and lawns. So we were quite interested to see the range of different mammals that occurred across the range of different sites. Once we collect the cameras from the site, this is the exciting bit. We open them up, we take out the memory card, we take the memory card back in the office and we check to see what exciting videos we've got. When we started the project, we were keeping our fingers crossed that we were going to get pine marten. So we're very pleased that we did get some footage of pine marten. The land where it was filmed, the owner of that land had a red squirrel feeder up, and he thought, but he wasn't sure, that pine marten was visiting it. So we set up a camera, and lo and behold, we managed to get about 30 or 40 clips of pine marten climbing up a tree and taking the food from a squirrel feeder. We've got some really nice clips of animal behaviour. This is a red squirrel that was filmed during Storm Arwen, and the trees were all really blowing around, but the squirrel was getting blown around as well. But it continued quite happily feeding from the feeding box right in the middle of the storm. Most of what we film isn't new animal behaviour, but when you're wading through 900 different videos, some of which have nothing at all on, every now and again it keeps us amused to find some amusing animal behaviour. And this is a badger which climbs up on the fence to get to the bird feeders, but the badger hasn't quite mastered the skill yet. One of the limitations of the camera is that the trigger time is sometimes not fast enough to catch the animal. So if there's an animal moving very fast, by the time the camera switches on, the animal is gone. But this particular video here is of a roe deer which sprints, there it goes, sprints very fast across the camera. Now the trigger wouldn't have picked that up. So what we think is that there was 2 roe deer. One sprinted very fast in front of the camera, triggered the camera to come on, and the camera filmed the second roe deer. This is a map of water shoe records, and the blue squares are all of the water shoe records that we had before the project started, and the yellow squares are the new records that we got as a result of the project. And you can see, despite the fact that we've got 2.5 million records, we didn't have too many, especially in the Galloway Glens area, which is this boundary here. we didn't have too many records of water shoot to begin with. So the 2 records that we've got are an important addition to the records that we hold. This is a map of badgers, and the blue squares are the existing records that we held. And the interesting fact about this is that if you know the geography of the region, you realise that these lines here are the main roads in the region, which tells you that most of our existing records were of dead badgers, badgers that had been killed on the road. But the yellow squares are the new squares which we got as a result of the project. So it's really nice to have records of live badgers rather than dead ones. The project has now come to an end, but that doesn't mean to say that we don't want more records. We've still got the equipment. If you'd like to get involved, you're most welcome to borrow the equipment anywhere in Dumfries and Galloway, and we can get more records of more wildlife, and it all adds to the database, and it all adds up to our greater knowledge of the wildlife that is here in Dumfries and Galloway.